Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Native Echo Podcast, where we make English simple and enjoyable. I'm Harper, and today it's just me. Julian is not here today, so you have me all to yourself. I hope that's okay. Actually, I think it's more than okay, because today we are going to talk about something that I genuinely love. And I mean that. This is one of my favorite things to talk about, because it touches something very human, very warm, and honestly, very underestimated in everyday English. We are talking about giving good news. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Harper, good news? That sounds easy. You just say, I have good news, and you're done, right? But actually, no, it is so much more interesting than that. And by the end of this episode, I promise you will see what I mean. Because giving good news well, giving it in a way that feels natural, warm, and genuinely joyful, that is actually a skill. And like every skill, it can be learned, practiced, and enjoyed. So let me start with a small story, a personal one. A few months ago, I was waiting for the result of something I had worked really hard on. I don't want to get too specific, but it was a project, something I had spent weeks preparing for. And when the result came back, it was good. It was really good. Better than I expected, actually. And in that moment, I remember sitting there alone in my kitchen, holding my phone, just staring at the screen. And my first thought was not, oh, great, I can relax now. My first thought was, I need to tell someone right now. I need to share this. And I think that is one of the most beautifully human things about good news. It does not feel complete until you share it. Have you ever noticed that? When something wonderful happens, there is this immediate pull, this almost physical need to find someone and say, hey, listen, something good happened. It is like the happiness doubles when you speak it out loud. That word, pull. I want to keep it in your mind as we talk today. A pull is a strong feeling that draws you towards something. You feel pulled to share good news. It is not a decision exactly, it is something deeper than that, almost instinctive. And in English, there are so many beautiful ways to give and receive good news. Different words, different tones, different levels of excitement. Today, we are going to explore all of that together. Let me start with the most common and simple way people introduce good news in English. You've heard it before. I have good news. 3 words. Simple, clean, direct. And actually, really effective. Because the moment you say it, the person you are talking to immediately shifts. Their attention sharpens. They lean in, metaphorically or literally. They are ready. And that's the power of those 3 words. They are a signal. They prepare the listener. But here is something interesting. Native speakers often don't say, I have good news. They signal it in a different way. More casual, more conversational. They say things like, guess what? Or, you are not going to believe this. Or, oh my goodness, I have to tell you something. These phrases do something that I have good news does not quite do. They build a moment of anticipation. And anticipation, the feeling of waiting for something you know will be good, that is actually a really joyful feeling. When you say, guess what, to someone, you are not just sharing information. You are inviting them into an experience. You are saying, come with me. Something exciting is about to happen. Guess what? 2 small words, but the energy behind them is enormous. And I love that about English. Sometimes the smallest phrases carry the most feeling. Now, let me talk about the different types of good news, because not all good news is the same, and this is important for how we talk about it. There is personal good news, news about your own life. I got the job. I passed my exam. I'm going to have a baby. I'm moving to a new city. This kind of news is intimate. It is about you, your path, your life. And when you share it, you are giving the other person a window into something that really matters to you. Then there is news that affects other people, news that involves them. We are going to take a trip together. The company decided to give everyone a bonus. Your application was approved. This kind of good news has a different feeling because the joy is shared from the very beginning. You are not just telling someone something good, you are telling them that something good is happening to them, too. And then there is the quiet kind of good news, the small, everyday kind. The kind that does not make anyone jump up and down, but still makes the day feel a little lighter. The meeting was canceled. The traffic was clear this morning. I found my keys. They were in my coat pocket the whole time. This kind of good news is understated. And understated means not making a big show of something, keeping it calm and simple. But understated good news has a warmth to it that I think is very underrated. It is like a small gift, a little moment of relief or delight tucked inside an ordinary conversation. I want to tell you about a conversation I had with a friend once. We were sitting in a cafe, and she had just come from a doctor's appointment. She had been a little worried about something, nothing serious, but enough to make her anxious for a few days. And she sat down, took off her coat, picked up her coffee, took a sip, and then looked at me and said, "Everything is fine." 3 words. Very quiet. She didn't jump up. She didn't say, "Guess what?" She just said, "Everything is fine." And I remember thinking that was one of the most beautiful ways I had ever heard someone share good news, because the simplicity matched the feeling. The relief was too deep for excitement. It just needed to be said simply, clearly, and heard. Everything is fine. Sometimes that is the most wonderful sentence in the world. Now I want to talk about how we respond to good news, because this is just as important as how we give it. And honestly, I think many English learners find this part a little harder. It is one thing to have a prepared phrase when you want to share something, but responding in the moment, when you are surprised and happy for someone, that can feel less natural. The most common response, the one you probably already know, is "That's great." And it works. It is warm, it is simple, it is genuine. But let me give you more options, because variety makes your English feel more alive. "That's amazing." This one carries more energy. You use it when the news is genuinely surprising or exciting. Your friend just told you they got into their dream university. That's amazing. Not just great, amazing. "I'm so happy for you." This one is personal and direct. You are not just reacting to the news, you are saying something about how you feel. And that is a generous thing to do. You are giving the person your emotion as a gift. "I am so happy for you." 6 words that can mean a great deal. "Oh, that is such a relief." This one is perfect for the quiet, understated kind of good news we talked about. The good news that comes after a period of worry or uncertainty. If your friend says everything is fine after their doctor's appointment, the right response might not be, "That's amazing." It might be, "Oh, that is such a relief." Because you are also holding a little worry for them, and now that weight is gone. "Congratulations." A very classic response. Warm, formal enough for important moments, but natural in everyday conversation too. You can say it simply, "Congratulations." Or you can add to it, "Congratulations, you really deserve this." "Congratulations, I knew you could do it." Those additions take a simple word and make it personal. "No way." I love this one. It is casual, energetic, and very authentic to how people actually speak. Someone says, "I just found out I won a competition." And you say, "No way." It expresses surprise and delight at the same time. It is a little bit of disbelief mixed with joy. And that combination is very human and very real. "Tell me everything." Oh, this is one of my favorites. Because when you say "tell me everything" after someone shares good news, you are saying, "I am not just politely responding. I am genuinely interested. I want to be inside this story with you. I want all the details. Tell me everything." It is an invitation, and a very generous one. Now, I want to talk about something that I think is really interesting and a little bit philosophical. The act of sharing good news is an act of trust. Think about it. When something good happens to you and you choose to tell someone, you're trusting them with your happiness. You are saying, here is something precious to me. I am going to show it to you. And I trust you to receive it with care. And sometimes that trust is tested, isn't it? We have all experienced this. You share good news, and the response is not quite what you hoped for. Maybe the person seems distracted. Maybe they respond briefly and change the subject. Maybe they find a way to make it about something negative. And in that moment, your happiness shrinks a little. It doesn't disappear, but it gets smaller, like a balloon that just lost a little air. I think that experience teaches us something very important about being a good listener. When someone brings you their good news, your job is to receive it fully, not to be performative, not to jump up and scream, but to be genuinely present, to make eye contact, to ask a follow-up question, to let them feel that their happiness matters to you, because it does, or it should. There is a word I want to share with you here: reciprocate. To reciprocate means to respond to a kindness or a feeling with a similar kindness or feeling. When someone shares their good news with you and you respond with genuine warmth and interest, you are reciprocating. You are matching their emotional offer with your own. And that reciprocation is what makes a conversation feel like a real exchange, rather than just information passing between two people. Reciprocate. It is a beautiful word and a beautiful concept. Let me also talk about a very specific and wonderful kind of good news sharing, which is the announcement. An announcement is when you share good news in a slightly more formal or prepared way. You have thought about it, maybe planned the moment, and you are ready to say it clearly. Announcements often start with phrases like, I have some exciting news to share, or I wanted to tell you something, or even just, so, and then a little pause before the big reveal. That little pause before the big reveal. I want to stay here for a moment because I think it is one of the most quietly dramatic moments in everyday conversation. You know what you are about to say. The other person does not. And in that tiny gap, that half second of silence, there is enormous energy. They lean in, they wait, and then you say it. I am getting married. We are expecting a baby. I got the promotion. We are moving to the coast. Each of those sentences, delivered after a small pause, lands differently than if you had just said it quickly without preparation. The pause is a frame. It says, this moment matters. Please pay attention. I think in everyday life, we underestimate the power of the pause. We rush through our words because we are nervous, because we are excited, because we feel like silence is awkward. But silence is not always awkward. Sometimes silence is anticipation. And anticipation, as I said earlier, is a form of joy. Now I want to talk about something that might seem surprising. Sometimes sharing good news is actually hard. Not because the news itself is difficult, but because of the context around it. Have you ever had good news that you were not sure how to share? Maybe you got a job offer in another city, and it meant leaving people you love behind. Maybe you received a wonderful opportunity that would change your life, but you knew it would also create complications for others. In those moments, the good news and a kind of sadness exist at the same time, and that is a very real and very human experience. English has a word for something that contains two opposite feelings at the same time: bittersweet. Bittersweet. It comes from the idea of tasting something that is both bitter and sweet at once. And when you share bittersweet news, the conversation becomes richer, more layered. You might say, I have some good news, but I have complicated feelings about it. Or, something wonderful happened, but it's a little bit bittersweet. That honesty, that willingness to hold both feelings at once and speak them out loud, that is actually very mature communication. It tells the other person, I trust you with the full picture, not just the simple version. Bittersweet. Remember that word. It will come in useful. I also want to talk about delivering good news to a group, because this is its own special skill. Think about a team meeting where someone announces that a project was a success, or a family gathering where someone shares big personal news. The energy in those moments is different. There are multiple people to read, multiple reactions to respond to, and the person sharing the news has to hold all of that. In those situations, I think the best approach is to slow down even more than usual. Give each person a moment to absorb it. Let the room respond. Do not rush past the reaction to get to the next thing. Because the reaction, the surprised smiles, the questions, the hugs, that is part of the gift. That is what you were building toward. Let it land. And if you are in a group and you receive someone's good news, even if others are reacting loudly, try to make your response personal. Look at them directly. Say one thing that is just for them. Because in a group, it is easy for the person sharing to feel like they are performing for the crowd. A personal, direct response reminds them that beyond the announcement, there is a real human moment happening between two people. I want to come back to something I said near the beginning, the idea that happiness doubles when you speak it out loud. I have thought about this a lot, and I believe it is true. But I want to add something to it. Happiness grows when it is received well. It is not just the speaking that doubles it, it is the receiving. When you share something joyful and the other person meets you there, when they say, "I am so happy for you," when they ask you to tell them everything, when their eyes light up for you, the happiness multiplies. It expands to fill the space between you. And that is why learning to give and receive good news in English, really learning it, with feeling and vocabulary and genuine presence, that is not a small thing. It is practicing the very human art of connecting through joy. So here is what I want you to do this week. Share some good news with someone. It does not have to be big. It can be as small as, "I tried a new recipe and it was actually delicious." Or, "I finally finished that book I had been reading for months." Or, "I had a really good day today and I just wanted to tell someone." Use one of the phrases we talked about. Start with, "Guess what?" Or begin with, "I have some good news." Add a small pause before the main thing. And when someone shares good news with you, try, "Tell me everything." Watch what happens. And now, before we finish, here is our recap for today. 5 words and phrases that will stay with you. Pull, a strong feeling that draws you toward something. Sharing good news feels like a pull. You cannot help it. You just need to tell someone. Anticipation, the joyful feeling of waiting for something good. When you say, "Guess what?" you create anticipation in the other person. That itself is a small gift. Understated, not making a big show of something, keeping it calm and simple. Sometimes the most powerful moments in a conversation are understated ones. Reciprocate, to respond to kindness with kindness. When someone shares good news, reciprocate with genuine warmth and real interest. Bittersweet, containing both happiness and sadness at the same time. Some good news is bittersweet, and saying so honestly makes the conversation more real. Those 5 words are yours now. Pull, anticipation, understated, reciprocate, bittersweet. Use them. Listen for them. Notice them in conversations around you. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I genuinely enjoyed talking to you, and I hope this episode gave you something warm to carry with you. Julian will be back next time, and I cannot wait for you to hear what we have planned. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to Native Echo Podcast and leave us a like. It means more than you know. Share this with someone who loves learning English, or someone who just needs to hear a reminder that good news is worth sharing and worth receiving well. I will see you in the next one. Take good care of yourselves. Bye for now.